Everyone, welcome to my channel. We're looking at the twin flame, the three waves of twin flame collectives, the three categories, the three groups of twin flames that sort of distinguish them, the collectives one from the other. Just categories to help you to understand the different soul missions and give you more insight into your purpose. So I hope that you enjoy this. My name is Elif and I welcome you to evolve with me. I have been doing a series of these talks where we look at the twin flame awakening and how it ties into the laws of our universe, what a paradigm is, how it affects your paradigm, just to give you a different perspective, my perspective on the topic, and to give you some guidance and understanding into what's actually going on. Today, this is the fourth episode, and today we're looking at the twin flame waves, or the twin flame collective groups, what if you want to call it that. There is no separation. Separation is an illusion. So the twin flame collective is one collective, which is also a part of the greater collective, which is humanity. The upgrades, the work, the mission, the process, the journey is all to serve in the human experience, the human and soul self-experience, and how to bring that together and how to individuate that. But in our attempt to understand things, sometimes we try to interpret our spiritual experience in a rational sort of way, just to try and help us to understand, because most of our perception of our reality is through our ego, through our mind, and the mind interprets things in a particular way. So just to support the journey, just to support our understanding, and just to help make sense of things, we try to find ways to define what we're experiencing, find ways to explain what is happening. But please keep in mind that there is no separation where you've got three groups of people that fall into different categories, and so they separate from the other group. You have spectrums of what is happening for you on your twin flame journey. It's just that I found that depending on the soul's evolution, how old the soul is, the soul's mission year, and their level of self-awareness, etc., that the experience is altogether different. And I think it's worth knowing or recognizing that as a twin flame, you specifically are here to clear out karma in a particular area or in a particular way. And so a collective of people who have that in common go into a particular wave and so forth. But there's no age group, or so it's not a matter of if you fit the description of the first wavers and you feel that you fall into that category somewhat, that there's a specific group of people born at a particular time that fall into that category. That's not how it works. It is, we're a twin flame. We recognize we're twin flames who are experiencing a twin flame awakening, and we identify with a particular category or a particular set of definitions in our personal experience, and so we can understand ourselves better based on that. That's what this is about. So it's just characteristics that you can find is predominantly your story or your experience that helps you to know and recognize which wave you resonate with, identify with more, and might consider yourself falling into. but it can overlap as well. So use your discernment, trust your guidance system. This is to support and not to hinder. This is not to create more segregation and more sort of to make it more black and white, because it's never going to be. It is a spiritual awakening, and every person's experience is unique. You are an individual with your own free will, with your own makeup. You've come into a pre-programmed genetic vessel body. You've been born into a particular circumstance and environment that has formed a part of the nature and the nurturing that has helped you to develop in the direction that you have. Every person's journey is unique. But because we are connected, there are so many similarities. Just like you have many, many different trees, they are still trees by definition. And there are many similarities in the way that they function. There will be some qualities that differ, that make them unique. Okay, so I'm going to begin by just letting you know that nobody can give you your truth. Nobody can tell you this is absolute for you. There are teachers who are here, who have come here to support your remembering, to support your awakening, to remind you of who you are in the moments that you forget. But nobody can give you your absolute truth that you hold within yourself. And so to trust your guidance system and to learn how to listen to your guidance system would be the most valuable thing you could ever do. So I always ask that you guys take a few seconds, take a few breaths, welcome your team, your guides, your keepers, give thanks for guidance, and help them to guide you through this talk, to help you to know and to recognize what fits and what does not. If it fits, if it resonates, claim it without a doubt. If it doesn't fit, let it go, it's for somebody else. Your twin flame, as I said before, it's not a particular, when we look at the twin flame groups, the three groups that that sort of make up the general groups of twin flame collectives that one can encounter, or the three waves. As I said, it's not a 3D timeline. It doesn't have a 3D timeline where we say, okay, if you will be born between this time and this time, then you could fall into this category. Or if this is your age group, then you could fall into this category. It is not a 3D timeline. We're talking about your soul's journey. It's a spiritual awakening. Time is not linear. Okay. These three waves, they exist simultaneously. They just have different energies active, different karma active, and so that helps us to distinguish a little bit. Nothing is set in stone. All right, you can identify with and resonate with one wave, and then through your process, your evolution and your growth, within a year or two, you can completely identify with another. Nothing is set in stone. We are constantly shifting. We are constantly evolving. We are constantly in a process of growth. Momentum is a part of our reality, okay? And we're constantly in that forward moving motion. Whatever direction it is that we are focused on, we're moving in or tuned into, all right? Your soul agreement is your soul agreement is ingrained in your soul purpose or mission. Soul agreement with that other self, okay? You're one soul, two bodies, two minds. So you have an agreement on a soul level to meet yourself in a particular way for very particular reasons. And that is to support your personal mission and your purpose. So sometimes we get an idea that if somebody behaved in a particular way, or if we danced in a particular way, then we would be happy. But your soul knows that a situation looking a particular way or having a particular set of circumstances will not necessarily give you the sense of self that will lead to happiness. And so you holding on to an idea of how it's supposed to look, and your soul is giving space to something more. And often that is one of the greatest challenges for a twin flame, is that you have this concept, this idea of how things should look in order for you to be happy and for you to feel loved and for you to feel fulfilled. But your soul has a bigger picture in mind, has a deeper understanding of who you are. And so a lot of your process, a lot of your awakening is about remembering who you are, remembering how the laws of our universe works and how to make the most of it, remembering your mission and your purpose. Okay, so I'm going to begin with the first waivers. And just to give you some idea of what would be active in your journey, on your journey, in your character, the characteristics that show up for you as a twin flame, if you were to fall into the category at this time or to identify with the first waivers. Okay, so as a first waiver, you find that you have karmic blocks in various areas, so a lot of contrast. Okay, what that means is you've got karma when it comes to money, born into poverty, or a tribe with a lot of issues around money. Maybe their relationship with money or how they acquire money has been through illegal, unscrupulous means, or they just have a terrible relationship with money. They never have enough, they can't keep a job. So lots of contrast in the relationship with money, lots of contrast in the relationship with home, perhaps. Most of born into a situation of homelessness, no lack of support, and then relationship issues, violence in relationships, and then maybe drug addiction or substance abuse, and perhaps mental health. So as a first waiver, what is normal life for you and what is your day-to-day struggles? For somebody looking from the outside, it seems unnatural, like no one person should be dealing with so much. Something is very, very wrong. This is normally your group of people who have considered and who might have been told numerous times that they are cursed, because it just seems like their life is a nightmare and an endless horror. You might have had situations where people have said to you, but how can this is not normal. How can one people be, I don't know how you cope, because there's just so much contrast, so many extreme karmic blockages and challenges in so many areas of your life. That is very, very common in first waivers. There is a lot of karma that needs to be fixed, needs to be not fixed, but needs to be healed, needs to be overcome, worked through. Okay, so your first waiver is your soul that has come into this life with the intention of clearing up a lot of karma and elevating quickly, allowing their soul to elevate and progress and progress quickly. Okay, so progress on a soul level is not, there's not some general idea or concept of what progress is. Progress is what your soul feels growth and evolution and wisdom and well-being is about. So your first wavers are your souls that came into this life with the intention of, or the mission of, clearing out a lot of karmic blockages for the soul, so that they can elevate or advance quickly. So where a soul might come into a time-space reality with the mission of overcoming fear, right? Or another soul might come in with the mission of learning how to let in more love. And another soul might come in with a mission of being more abundant. Your first wavers have come in with 4 or 5 different areas of excessive extreme karma that they want to overcome, so that there is great elevation, soul evolution in this one life. And your first wavers, you've chosen very, very complicated bloodlines, families to come into, because on a soul level you are very, very advanced, in the sense that you've lived many, many lifetimes, you've seen many, many things, there's a lot of wisdom, and you've mastered much in other lifetimes, and so you feel, I can come and clear all of that karma. Because what you want to keep in mind is what you're going through is not just for you. You're clearing karma, which means you're upgrading timelines, filling in new grids with light, so that the collective of humanity can benefit from the healing and from the growth. The areas in which you're struggling and where you're growing and where you're evolving and where you're clearing out karma, you're doing that for humanity. So you're amplifying the levels of growth. But in order to do that, you've taken a lot on your shoulders. So it's like having a piece of land overgrown, and people, one of the main issues is hunger. And as a soul, because you've had so many lives where you've had experience in agriculture, cultivating and having learning how to thrive in the communities, have ample food and generosity and all of that goodness, you decide that you're going to take that upon yourself to clear that field. But when you come into this body, you come into this body with its limitations. You're not the soul where you think a thought and it just happens. You also you come into an environment and into a vessel that is predisposed to have challenges in that area. But you welcome it because of relativity, because of the duality that our 3D reality is based upon. Okay, so what that means is, in order to let in huge amounts of abundance, I need to accept, embrace, welcome the other side of that coin, which is huge amounts of lack. Because that lack is not opposite to abundance. It is abundance only in its absence. So that lack is the spaciousness which that spaciousness then is the platform or the environment to hold greater levels of abundance as we choose to let them in. So in the nothingness, everything exists. It's relativity. So this is the analogy I normally use. I say, if you light a candle in a well-lit room, very few are going to notice that candle's burning. They'll walk into the space, they'll have a conversation, they'll go about their business. only those who really look around to observe what is happening will notice that the candle's burning, but it won't have a great impact. But when you light a candle in a dark room, it fills the room with light. It has a greater impact. In that darkness, the light can exist more, can be more. So this is something about our reality that we struggle with, because we see the empty space and all we see is the emptiness. But in that spaciousness, there is a lot of light, there's a lot of oxygen, there is a lot of space for goodness, and there is a lot of goodness that exists there if we look for it, but our instinct is not to see anything other than the empty space. Okay, so therefore when we choose to come into these bodies, we don't see it as we don't consider it an issue on a soul level, because we know what we're capable of, we know what we know, but we also choose to forget and then remember, because we really want the experience, because experience is the greatest tool for creation. So there is wisdom in what we're doing. So your first wavers have karmic blockages in various areas, a number of areas. That's one indication. And then your first wavers require a lot more physical support. So what this means is, these are your people who have the tendency to be codependent. They might have health issues. They might these are your first wavers could struggle with addiction. So lots of physical struggles where they don't have the capacity, or it appears they don't have the capacity to support themselves. They need a lot of physical support. So whether it's a group or coaching or therapy or hospitals for medical care, or a family member that's always helping them take care of themselves, something that we consider to be negative or looked down upon, but part of overcoming these karmic blockages is, like I said, you come into this vessel which has pre-programmed genetics, DNA, and is pre-programmed to match that karma. So there's a lot of internal stuff that needs to be worked through. It's so dense, it's so heavy that it manifests physically. Okay. Your first wavers connect more easily with soulmates early in life. So your first wavers are your people who value their relationships very, very deeply, and like I said, they are predisposed to more codependence, or being dependent on someone else. So they do form bonds early in life, to have that support, to have that person that they can count on, or the people they can count on. What this also means, though, is with your first wavers, these are often your people who have encounters with their twin early in life. And then life can sort of take them in different directions, and they can reunite at a later stage, and then activation happens. So this could be your group of people where you've experienced, you knew your twin before, and when you were younger, or even if you didn't physically meet your twin, you always had the visions of, and this sense of knowing that there is this one special person in your life that you're going to love more than anyone you've ever met, or in a profound and unique way, and they're going to have a life-changing impact on you. Whether you dream about them, or you have visions of them, or it's just a sense of knowing, that could also be the case. Okay. Your first wavers, you could meet your twin flame early in life. Like I said, you could be classmates or neighbors or friends, and then you could, obviously your life can grow in different directions, and then you can reunite later in life when you actually have your activation. Okay. Recognition can be more challenging for your first wavers, so when you first meet the person. It could just feel like someone that you have a deep bond with. You feel very drawn to them, but there's not that recognition of this person. I feel like I've always known this person. Not initially. That might only happen, that those twin flame signs, those things that happen in the twin flame union, or not union, let's put it this way, activation, that happens very, very early for most twin flames, might only start happening for you once separation is taking place. Then you find that you're going to dark night of the soul. You're obsessive, you can't sleep, you can't eat, you can't let go of this person, you can't, then all of those signs of activation can come into play, where there's this recognition, oh my goodness, this might be something bigger than I even imagined. Okay. Also, recognition could be challenging for first wavers if you meet your person when you're young, right? There's not that, oh, this could be my twin flame. It feels like a strong connection, someone you really value and appreciate. There's a lot about them that you value and appreciate, but that recognition and that activation only takes place the second time round when you meet. Okay. So first wavers can reconnect later in life and experience the awakening then. For some people, it's around midlife, so 35 upwards, or between 30 and 50. For some people, that person comes back into your life, or into your life at that sort of time period. This is often, not always, like I said, it can differ, it's a spectrum, so you can have, you can match all of these things except one, right? One of it can fall into another waves category. So you just look at how many of the characteristics in the category in the wave you can identify with, to help you know which wave you sort of resonate with most. So what I was saying is, for your first wavers, this could be your situation where you knew the person when you were kids, and then you meet again when you're adults, and suddenly you're just experiencing this person in a profound way. Okay. Your first wavers may not have a desire for marriage. First wavers might feel like a 3D concept of marriage is not necessary, the paperwork, the legal commitment. But your first wavers is your person that leans towards a long-term relationship. So when they're in a relationship, it's serious, and as long as the person allows them to be present, they will be in the relationship. They will keep working on it until the person makes it impossible for them to work on. These are on the relationships. These are your long-term relationship material type of people. They don't like going from one relationship to the next. They would rather work through things out with someone that things are not really working with, than to move on to something new that could possibly be better. And that is one of the karmic blocks that they have to work through. Depending on who you are, you could consider that to be a good or a bad thing, depending on your experience as well. Because experience is the magic. No one can give you experience, and knowledge without experience is void of wisdom. Knowledge plus experience equals wisdom. That's what leads to wisdom. Okay. Your first wavers, like I said, they carry life partner energy. They want to share their lives with someone. They would like to meet someone and share their lives with them and build with them and grow with them. That is what your first wavers really, really want. First wavers can present more dramatic obstacles to the 3D concept of love and relationship, which means these are your people that attract those toxic, very, very contrasting relationships that are impossible to ignore. It's not just, they are not just things that could be better. There are things that are impossible to live with. That's the kind of partners that they attract, because and toxic, and it could be your abusive partners or your partners with addiction, or people who have sex addictions and issues with fidelity and stuff like that. Hard stuff to have to accept. And the reason why that is because you do have a lot of karma that you need to work through in the area of love and relationship, and that ties into the tendency to settle because you think there's value in being with someone for 10 years that doesn't make you happy, but you'd rather have that than to try with someone new. You know, you feel there's value in working through things and staying committed even though the relationship is not really healthy. So you attract unhealthy in a very dramatic way, in a way that you can't ignore it. Okay, so that is just some of the characteristics, some of the indications that will help you to know and recognize if you're a first waver. Okay, as I said, first wavers have taken on a lot of karma because they know and they understand that a drastic upgrade was necessary for things to shift for humanity, and your first wavers like a challenge, and so they took a lot on. So if you identify with these, please comment, let me know. Let me know what resonates with you. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, I'm moving on to the second wavers. Some of the characteristics or indications that you could fall into that category. Your first wavers carry a lot of light. So what that means is your first wavers have a strong energy of faith, trust, acceptance. Your first wavers are your people that just come across as zen. Your second wavers. Your first wavers, however, are the ones that when there's a problem, they kick into action. Your second wavers, they carry a lot of light. They have that angelic type energy where they're in a zen mode most of the time, in acceptance, love. They are not very action orientated. They're okay with things as they are. They are chilled. Okay, your first wavers are your passionate, solution orientated, driven, action. Let's take action. Let's fix it. Okay. Whereas your second wavers, they are not highly creative and passionate. They carry an energy of everything's already done. It's okay as it is. Okay. They identify a lot with being a light worker, with bringing peace, they bring those softer elements into an environment. Your second wavers often go through their spiritual awakening in their 20s. Okay, but your second wavers could also be those people that go through awakening in childhood. So with first wavers, they have their activation and their awakening later in life, and their twin flame spiritual awakening starts taking place in midlife, a little bit later. Your first wavers they could have experienced second waivers would have experienced an awakening in childhood already. So you would be that child that was known to be gifted and very, very spiritual, very deep and philosophical, thinking different, outside of the box from a young age. The second waivers share a more unconscious connection with the twin flame. So your second waivers, the connection is more happening in the background, sort of, and so their connection is more on a soul level, but also not more on a soul level. That's the wrong thing to say. Twin flame connections are soul level. Unconscious, which means you can sometimes find that with the twin flame, the divine masculine falls into the second wave because they're unconscious about what's happening with the twin flame, and the first wave could be the divine feminine. This could sometimes happen. The second wave is share more unconscious connection with the twin flame, which means the growth, the lessons, the transformations that are taking place as a result of this connection happens in the subconscious mind, with the paradigm shifting. As I said, your second waivers are not those who will come into a situation, look at it and be like, I want to fix this, I want to make this right. They're in a space of, okay, this is what it is. I'm not in control of this. I'm not bigger than this. I'm just going to let it be and it'll work itself out. Whereas your first waivers are like your divine feminine, which feels like, no, this needs to change. We need to fix this. We need to try and manipulate that. We need to try and make that different. Okay. Your second waivers only meet after initial awakening. So what that means is your twin flame awakening is not your first big spiritual awakening. Your second waivers have already gone through their awakening, and then their twin flame activation starts to take place. Okay. So your second waivers, you've come to clear karma as well, but your main goal is to bring light. So you're not so focused on fixing things. You're more focused on, how can I bring love? How can I bring light? How can I bring peace? How can I bring acceptance? How can I bring joy? Okay. Because you know and you understand that through bringing light, it'll clear all of those things. Whereas your first waivers are there's a problem, let's find a solution, let's fix it. Let's find a solution, let's fix it. You see? And the one is not better than the other. It's just that, so there's a complementary, it's complementary the way that it plays out. So your second waivers are those people that you meet, that if you know them. For me, I pick these people up as angelic souls. They're more focused on having loving interactions and connecting in a kind and compassionate way with people than fixing their problems and sorting out karma. Okay? They are highly purpose charged, which means that your second waivers, their purpose, everything they do lines up with their purpose. So if their purpose is to come and have joy, to experience higher levels of joy, that's what they're going to gravitate towards. They're not going to focus on the fact that the garden in the back needs to be tended to, or the soil needs to be cleared so that you can plant new crops so that everybody can eat at the next harvest. No, they're going to go and play in the mud because that's what's going to give them the most joy in the moment. So they're focused on their purpose. And their ability to create is around that, comes from that energy, comes from their capacity and their ability to focus on what feels right to their soul, even if it doesn't look like the right thing to do for everybody else. Your second wavers tend to experience karma mainly in the energy, the environment, or the area of love and relationship. That's where they have their main challenges. Okay, so that's also an indication. By adulthood, your second waver can feel they've lived so many different lives. Your second waver is also your twin flames who are not, they're just not going to give energy to or get caught up on certain things because they know and they recognize it's pointless. Life is valuable, life is precious, and so they're very purpose driven. Your second wavers are also your people who their work is in the line of bringing light, of healing, of well-being, of helping people. So those are your coaches, your therapists, your healers, your energy workers, etc. So with your second wave, if you're a second wave, you'd find that meeting your twin flame, your entire twin flame experience has been this crash course in love and relationships. What love really is, what relationships really are about. Okay. And this means that as a second waver, whereas with the first waver, you would be that person that has had that long-term relationship. Your second wavers, before meeting your twin flame, your second wavers are your people who have had numerous relationships. Like, your relationships just don't last. You go from one to the next, one to the next. And so it could be, you could have had 1 or 2 long-term relationships in there too. But by the time you meet your twin flame, you've already had many relationships. Many seemingly long-term and short-term relationships. Relationships is just the place where if you could have it, you think you'd just be better off without it. It's just not something you seem to be getting right. Okay. Your second wavers can experience hot and cold connections with the twin. So this is your scenario in which you have a strong runner-chaser dynamic. But in an extreme sort of way, where you're either together in one another's lives getting along great, or you don't even speak. That kind of thing. Love hate, because in essence the reason why as a second waver your karma is so dense in the area of love and relationship is because your relationship with yourself is lacking in the area of what love really is. And so learning that is one of your main missions as a twin flame, awakening in this lifetime as a second waver. Okay, moving on to your third wave. So as I said, if you identify with the second wavers, how many of those characteristics do you identify with? Tell me, let me know. Even with the first wave, how many of them do you recognize as resonating with you? And tell me what you think. Okay, so we're moving on to the third wave. So the third waves the third wavers deal with grounding and stabilizing the light. Okay. The first waves predominantly, so everybody brings light, everybody's a light worker, and as I said, it can overlap. But the first wave is predominantly help to heal the collectives. And they are a they go through so many different, they go through these karmic challenges and having to learn to clear them out, that they understand a vast, they have a lot of knowledge and wisdom into the different challenges that humanity can face. A lot of their work, a lot of their mission is clearing all of that out and filling in helping to fill in new grids and upgrades for humanity, so that we can just have different understanding and relationship with what we consider to be mental health, what we consider to be addiction, and how we identify with these things, and all of that. Your second wavers bring a lot of light, so they fill those grids in with light. They bring love, they bring kindness, and they remind us that the world can be a softer place whilst we're healing and growing and remembering who we are. Okay. This means that they can often be so focused on the sunshine that they don't see that they are unaware that there is, or they're not as involved in wanting to fix the storm on the other side of the town. Doesn't mean they don't feel compassion, but they don't have that sense of, oh, I'm going to go and fix it. There's a deeper wisdom that's not how our world works. Whereas your first wavers, they're at war with a lot of the things that just seem wrong in the world. And so judgment, that separation consciousness and judgment is a big one for first wavers, to help them to learn, to remember, and to help them clear out karma. Second wavers bring more light into that. They just bring love. So you have, let me make this analogy. You have a family crisis, and then you have that aunt that comes in that asks, what's the problem? And then she just starts getting rid of things. Well, you need to leave, and you need to go, and this needs to happen, and we need to do this right now. And then you have that grandmother that comes in, or that family friend that comes in and holds you and says, are you okay? Would you like a cup of tea? Everything's going to be fine. That's your second waver's energy. But if you only had the second waver energy, and you didn't have that aunt that is dynamic, that comes in and moves things around, you would be stuck and paralyzed in the chaos. You wouldn't be able to think of how to clear it all away. She comes in, she brings order, right? So that's your first waver's energy, is that let's move things out of the way. Let's lay new grids. Now your third waver grounds and stabilizes that light. Your third, did I say second wave or third waver? Your third wavers ground and stabilizes that light. So new grids get filled in, new light codes are brought in, then you have the light, more light coming in to fill those grids, to illuminate that. And then you have this energy where there is a grounding and a stabilizing of the light that is brought by the third waver. You will recognize that you fit into this category by restlessness and anxiety. This sense of restlessness and anxiety that suddenly comes up and out of nowhere. And then you have to learn how to master and implement practices of getting into alignment, of grounding that energy. You see? Because it's not only your own, it's a collective energy that you're picking up. Your third waver has a strong sense of self. They're not figuring out who they are. They're not trying to fit in. They know who they are. They know how they fit. They know how they add value, and they know what works for them. Your third waver has their own path, and they're often walking their own path, and you come and find them where you are. These are so your first wavers, you'll find that they have lots of friends. Always they like large groups of everything. They feel that life is healthy and better when they have family, lots of family around, lots of friends and that sort of thing. Your second wave is a little bit of that as well. And your second wavers can sometimes become very, very consumed and absorbed by their relationship as well. And so does the first wave. So you see how there can be similarities. But with the third wave, they're normally, they have small groups. They're normally on their own. They're like their own company. It's your solitary kind of flame. All right. They have a strong sense of self. And one of their greatest challenges is they have difficulty grounding themselves in this incarnation, which means this is your flame that feels like they don't fit into their family, they don't fit, they're just different, like they shouldn't even be on this planet, like they're not from here. Very, very difficult. These are also your strong empaths. So this is your person that feels like they need space from other people, from the things happening in the world. They pick up on, and even in that solitude, they pick up on a lot of on what's happening energetically on the planet. Very, very empathic. And one of your greatest challenges is learning how to ground that energy, how to ground yourself here. Head's always in the clouds, always most of the time you're at war with your reality, with this life, with people, with what's the circumstance around you. And your greatest fantasy as a third waver could be to just be alone on an island. You might believe that your life would be better if you were. It's not true. It's a misconception, but it could be a fantasy of yours. You could feel that you elevate or transcend family trauma and karma. So you could feel that your family's trauma and karma has nothing to do with you, that you're in a world of your own. But part of grounding yourself is recognizing that you are connected on some level. So instinctively you might want to separate yourself from their mess. You might feel like a lot of your unhappiness is as a result of that. But there is a separation consciousness and an integration that needs to take place, which will help you then to ground and stabilize who you are as a light being. Third wavers can find it difficult to assimilate to various areas in life. So what that means is can't figure out what your ideal career would be for you to be happy. Your third wavers struggle to settle here, to be happy here, to figure out how to be happy. You're constantly in resistance, and it's as if you're constantly at war with this reality, as if being happier would mean that you are a part of it and you have to stay. It's like it's this constant separating yourself from this reality. So much about it just doesn't make sense to you, and you're constantly in conflict with it, and that is what is at the root of your suffering. You're not going to stay here forever. You're just here for a period of time. So much about this reality just seems wrong and more work than it needs to be and harder than it should be and all of that. And you're right to some extent, because before incarnating into these bodies, being pure spirit, being a part of God consciousness, everything is just easy, simple. There is no relativity. There is no dark. It is only light. But in order for love, the love that is you to experience itself, you want relativity. In order for the joy that is you to experience yourself, you want relativity. That's why we get to experience ourselves in the tangible way we do here. And what you're doing by resisting grounding yourself is is you're experiencing yourself, the part of you that is suffering on a loop over and over. So if you identify with being a third wave, comment, let me know which points you resonate with. Your third wavers tend to move around a lot, constantly trying to run, finding happiness somewhere else, trying to find stability somewhere else. Third wavers carry a high level of passionate energy, which means that, yeah, you move a lot. You're going to move, you're going to go, if you feel something's not working, you're going to do what you need to do to change it, you know. You can be fiery and you can be passionate at a time, and that is also why you dig your heels into this reality and this existence. It's an insult to your sensibilities. You're missing something though. And that's why I say your greatest mission here is for grounding and stabilizing that life, that light. And that's your greatest challenge in this incarnation. Okay. So your third wave also tend to awaken in your early childhood or teens. Lots of strong twin flame connection. It's just profound. It's like being in a dream state. Powerful astral experience. So as a third waver, you are that twin flame that you have these telepathic experiences that are so profound. Your twin flame will ask you what you were doing at a particular time, because it's like they had a conversation with you. You visit one another in your dreams. You have conversations whilst you're not in the same place. You can finish one another's sentences. There's a strong esoteric bond. So this is your third wave is if you meet your twin flame in the 3D, when you're activated, you both are drawn to the esoteric, to deep and profound spiritual experiences that validate your twin flame experience. Okay. Your twin flame might have visions and dreams about past lives together. You might do too. So there's a lot of that sort of experience of one another. Now, when your third wavers meet, the experience can feel volatile because lifetimes push forward. Lifetimes come to the forefront. Your third wavers, you have spent many, many, many lifetimes together as twin flames. Meeting one another, having various experiences. There's a lot that pushes to the forefront. You also tend to stay more active in the 3D aspect of one another's lives, which means that your third wavers, you tend to be more active in one another's lives, like in this world, in this life. Okay, that could be another indication. All right. And third wavers can find harmony in a 3D union very, very often. So you can, because you've shared so many lifetimes together, you can find harmony in your 3D union. Now, as I've said in previous talks, union is not always we come into one another's lives, we get married, we move in together, and we stay attached at the hip. Union is a spiritual individuation. So that can mean that you can find harmony in things as they are. Harmony in your twin flame union on a soul level, even though that person is not in your life in a particular way. So you could be friends, but with the third wavers, it is more likely that you would still you'd be in one another's lives in harmony, whatever that looks like. Okay, so guys, this is just to touch on. As I said, it can overlap, but just to give you an understanding of the way that you might, or the category you might fit into, and what you're working through karmically, and to understand who you are and the connection from this perspective might be helpful. Let me know what you think, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. Comment, let me know, and I'll chat to you guys again soon. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed the channel, and don't forget to like. It really helps my channel. And if you're interested in a personal reading, twin flame coaching session, to get personal insight into your situation, into your awakening, and how you can better elevate and serve your awakening and your growth, coming into union, you're welcome to contact me. My email is in the description box below. Whatever you choose to do, do what is best for you. Love and light. I'll chat to you guys next time. Bye now.